everybody, thanks for coming to check out today's video. I got a request to make a little yard art dog sitting there with a little fishing pole fishing, and I am going to be using this used up old camping propane bottle for the body of this guy and a bunch of random scrap and other material for the rest of him. So let me show you how I did it. To start out today, I am going to be making the fishing pole for the little dog guy. I'm using 3/8 pipe for the actual rod, a random bearing, and other assorted hardware that I had sitting around for the reel. I took that bolt and bent it so it looks like a little handle. I am actually making 2 of these fishing dog projects for the same person. But since I'm trying to make them close to identical, I'm only going to show you putting together one of them. I'm not 100% sure if I kept them separate completely the entire time, so you actually might end up seeing me making parts of both of them as I go along. The last part that I am going to add to the fishing pole is the fishing line. I'm using 3/16 round stock. I'll get this cut, tacked in. Unfortunately, as I was building this, I kind of forgot that maybe I should do something with the actual pipe of the rod and give it a little bit more character. But since I didn't think of that beforehand, now that I'm done, I am going to throw it back in the vise and bend it up a little bit just to not have it be boring and just straight. So let's move over here, and I'm going to put a couple side-to-side bends in it because unfortunately I couldn't figure out how to get it in the vise nicely without crushing everything to bend it back a little bit so it looked like the rod was tipped forward. Yeah, nothing's perfect, but still has a little bit of character to it, so I'll call it good, and we're going to move on to the next step. Moving on to making the hands and the feet, I wanted to use a wide washer so I would have a nice base for the dog and he doesn't just tip over. But the pipe that I got for the arms and legs is a little small to fit nicely in the hole of the big washer. So to eat up some of that space, I tacked a smaller washer on top so the pipe will fit nicely and I can weld it a bit easier. I wanted to bend all of the hands and feet so they weren't just flat and boring. Also, the hands will fit on the pipe later a lot better if I bend the washers, so that's why I did it. To finish off the hands and feet, wait, it's a dog, it's paws. Okay, to finish the paws, I am adding 3/4 inch ball bearings for the, wait, would that be toes? And they're not fingers, they have paws. Alright, I just realized that I don't have a firm grasp on the naming of the anatomy of dog hands and feet. Whatever, I'm not a dog biologist, it doesn't matter. I'm just a welder, and this is what I'm using for the paws. And for the actual arms and legs, I am using 1-inch Schedule 40 pipe that I realized is probably way too thick for what I actually need. And since I want to smash down one end so it's flat and I can tack it to the actual propane bottle easier, I thought I was just going to put it in the vise and crush it. But I wasn't strong enough, so I grabbed the torch, and now I can heat them up a lot. Get them red hot, and then crush them with the vise to give me that crimp on the ends of each one of the arms and legs. Alright, it's time to finally put the body together, and I know my setup here looks ridiculous. But it was the best and easiest way I could figure out how to get the bottle to actually sit at the height that I needed everything to sit. So whatever, if you know a better way to do this, or a tool of some sort that would make my life way easier in this situation, drop a comment down below. Let me know. If it's out there, I would love to buy it, because this obviously looks ridiculous. But you know what? It worked. So, can't really say it's a bad idea if it worked, right? That's at least what I'm gonna go with here. With the legs on, I just wanted to cut and bend up a piece of 3/8 round stock. Ha! I knew one. For the tail, and to give it more stability, I grabbed a random nut out of a bucket that I had sitting around and welded that to the end of the tail just to make it a little bit more sturdy. I'm moving on to adding the arms and fishing pole to the body to finish up all of the body work. I still have to figure out a few things for the head, so I'm putting it off until I absolutely have to deal with it. Also, if anyone has a suggestion of a better bottle tank to use for this application or something similar, because these campfire propane bottles are so thin, I did burn through a few times and I ended up having to chase the void trying to tack it all back together. So if anybody's got any suggestions, drop a comment, let me know, because yeah, this worked out and it turned out pretty good, but it was a pain, and if there's an easier way to do it, I'm all about it, so let me know. I think I finally figured out what I'm going to do with the head. I used some extra pieces that I was able to get from work. I think it's 3/16 plate. But I used a 3-inch washer to trace out. I am going to use these 3-inch rounds after I grind them, clean them up, to bend and make the structure of the face. I'm going for like, what are the dogs with the like droopy jowls on the, whatever. If you know of one, that's the one I'm talking about. Also for the ears, I wanted to see what I actually wanted, and unfortunately after I cut the test one, I realized that I wanted a little bit of an extension on it so I could bend it on the extension and have the ears droop out behind the head a little better. I know I'm not explaining it very well, but it'll make more sense after I get everything put together. But I got everything cleaned up and ready to go. I am bending the rounds at like the 3rd waypoint and then just bashing it over to get a better 90. It's not a 90, but I wanted a sharper bend on the actual little face jowls. So I bent it with my adjustable wrenches a little ways and then just bashed it with a hammer real good, and it'll be fine. To raise up and actually have something to attach all the head pieces on, I decided to use a chunk of 1.5 inch square tube. I'm guessing. We all know I don't actually know what it is. But I tacked that onto the top of the bottle, and now I am going to attach the face jowls. That's what I'm calling them. And I am tacking them straight to that pipe, and I am going to then add a, what is it? This one I know. 1.25 inch ball bearings for the nose, and then I am going to also make them a nice fun little hat, and I grabbed some random washers and another piece of whatever pipe that I had. I'm just going to tack them all together. I took the large washer and gave it a little bit of a bend
just so it looked like the hat had a little, bend, flare up to it, because I can't just leave things alone. I have to try to put little details in them, otherwise I get bored and don't want to do things. So the small little details that I add keep it fun and interesting for me. I grabbed 2 random bolts out of my bolt bucket and I ground them round, and I'm going to use them as the eyes for the dogs. So I just gotta cut them off of the bolts. I'm gonna tack them together, get those up on the head, get the hat on, and figure out how I'm going to situate the ears. For the ears, I wanted to try to situate them in a way that would cover up as much of the gap from the not being a solid head. So I wanted to try and get them to sit close to each other so it looked kind of natural, but I also wanted to try to close in on the head as much as I could to make it look like it is a solid piece instead of just a random assortment of junk stacked together. Kind of works out, a little bit of gap on the side, but not terrible. And that wraps up all of the building on the dog. I don't actually have to clean it or paint it. The guy who wants them is just gonna put them out in the yard and he wants them to naturally rust. So it's time for some of that sweet B-roll. Alright, I'm sorry, I lied. After I finished, I stared at it for a while and I hated the way the face looked, so I ripped it off. I didn't like that the cheeks were so sunken in, so I'm adding just a 3/4 inch nut to the front of the square tube to offset the face out a little bit, just to give it a little bit more substance, because I didn't like how it looked. Doesn't matter. So I tore it all off, cleaned it all up, extended the face out a little ways, and now I'm just going back through and reattaching the ears and hat and everything. It actually ended up working out for me for the better, because that gap on the side between the ear and the eye closed up a little bit, and I think personally that it looks way better this way. Thank you for coming to check out this video. If you like what I did here today, hit that like, share, comment, subscribe. And now I will actually send you out of here with some sweet B-roll.